July 26th, 1945. The war is nearly over. Everyone can feel it. In the Pacific, the tide has turned, and now it's just a matter of time. But time is measured in blood. At Mare Island Naval Shipyard, California, a heavy cruiser sits low in the water. Her name is USS Indianapolis, CA-35. She's been patched and painted after a kamikaze strike off Okinawa tore a hole in her side. The crew doesn't know it yet, but she's about to carry the most important cargo in human history. Captain Charles McVay III stands on the dock, watching supplies loaded under armed guard. He's the son of an admiral, a third-generation naval officer with salt in his veins. 47 years old, Annapolis graduate, decorated for action at Saipan and Iwo Jima. He commands 1,196 men. By August's end, only 316 will still be breathing. The orders come sealed, eyes only. McVay opens them in his quarters, reads them twice, then locks them away. He's told his ship will transport classified material to Tinian Island. Maximum speed, no escort. Radio silence unless absolutely necessary. What he doesn't know, what almost no one on Earth knows yet, is that deep in Indianapolis's hold, inside a lead-lined cylinder, lies uranium-235, enough to build the heart of an atomic bomb, the bomb that will vaporize Hiroshima. On July 16th, the first atomic test lit up the New Mexico desert like a second sun. Now the components for Little Boy are being rushed across 5,000 miles of hostile ocean. If this ship sinks, the war might stretch into 1946. Another million dead, maybe two. Indianapolis departs San Francisco on July 16th at 8:36 in the morning. The Golden Gate Bridge shrinks behind her. 10 days to Tinian, then home. Simple enough. The Pacific is vast and empty at night. It swallows stars and ships with equal indifference. Indianapolis cuts through black water at 29 knots, pushing her engines harder than they've run since her refit. Below decks, sailors sleep in bunks stacked 3 high. Marines play cards under dim bulbs. In the galley, cooks prep breakfast for the morning watch. 1,600 miles from anywhere. Private First Class Giles McCoy, a Marine from Missouri, writes a letter to his mother. He tells her the food's gotten better. He tells her he misses her cooking anyway. He doesn't tell her he's scared of what comes next, because he doesn't know yet that fear can take forms he's never imagined. Seaman Second Class Felton Outland, 19 years old from Sunbury, North Carolina, lies in his rack thinking about his girl back home. Her name is Catherine. He's going to marry her when this is over. He's decided. He pictures the dress she'll wear. Dr. Lewis Haynes, the ship's senior medical officer, makes his rounds. He's 37, a physician from Connecticut. He joined the Navy to serve his country, thinking he'd treat appendicitis and broken bones. In 5 days, he'll be pulling men from shark-infested water, watching them die in his arms because he has no supplies, no morphine, no hope to give them except lies. On July 26th, Indianapolis arrives at Tinian Island. The cargo is offloaded under spotlights and armed guard. Cranes lift the mysterious crates. Trucks carry them away into the night. Captain McVay is told nothing except mission accomplished. He doesn't know that in 16 days, the uranium he delivered will be detonated over a city. Doesn't know that 80,000 people will cease to exist in a flash of light. History will say Indianapolis helped end the war. But first, she has to die.
New orders. Proceed to Leyte Gulf in the Philippines. Join Task Force 95. Train for the invasion of Japan. The invasion that will never come. McVay requests an escort. The seas between Tinian and Leyte are prowled by Japanese submarines. Everyone knows it. But the Navy says no. The risk is negligible. Submarines are no longer a significant threat. Most of Japan's subfleet is destroyed or out of fuel. Most, not all. On July 28th, Indianapolis departs Guam, her last friendly port. She's carrying 1,196 souls, officers and enlisted, boys and men, fathers and sons. Some are veterans of Pearl Harbor. Some are on their first deployment. The average age is 19. The sun sets behind them as they steam west. Ahead lies a straight shot to Leyte, 1,200 nautical miles through the Philippine Sea. The sea is calm. The sky is clear. It's hot even after dark, the air thick and wet. Sailors sleep topside to escape the ovens below. They spread blankets on the deck and watch the stars. Some of them will still be watching when the stars disappear beneath the water. July 29. The day passes without incident. Indianapolis makes good time. By evening, she's more than halfway to Leyte. Spirits are high. Scuttlebutt says the war might be over by September. Some bet on August. In the wardroom, officers play bridge. In the engine room, machinists' mates monitor the massive turbines. On the bridge, the watch changes at midnight. Captain McVay retires to his cabin. His standing orders are clear. Wake him if anything changes. Course, weather, radar contact, anything. The ship runs dark, as all warships do at night. No lights, just the phosphorescence in her wake and the stars above. At 11:30 p.m., McVay gives permission to cease zigzagging, standard procedure. Zigzagging makes you harder to hit, but in these waters, with visibility good and submarine threat low, it's considered unnecessary. The Navy's routing orders didn't even mention it. Indianapolis steams straight. 900 miles to Leyte. 12 hours ahead, salvation. 12 minutes ahead, hell. Lieutenant Commander Mochitsura Hashimoto commands the Japanese submarine I-58. He's 36 years old, a career officer. He graduated from the Japanese Naval Academy in 1931. For 4 years, he's hunted American ships. Tonight, his luck changes. At 11:02 p.m., his periscope officer spots a dark shape on the horizon. At first, Hashimoto thinks it's a destroyer. Then the moon breaks through clouds, and he sees the truth. A heavy cruiser. Unescorted. He can't believe it. This late in the war, American ships travel in groups, surrounded by destroyers with active sonar. But this one is alone. Hashimoto orders his crew to battle stations. I-58 turns to intercept. The cruiser is making 17 knots, a good speed, but not evasive. She's on a steady course, a perfect target. He loads 6 Type 95 torpedoes. Each carries 1,210 pounds of explosive. Each is designed to run deep and detonate beneath the ship's keel, breaking its back. At 11:30 p.m., Hashimoto's fire control solution is perfect. Range 1,500 meters. Angle on the bow 70 degrees. Moon position behind the target, silhouetting her perfectly. He gives the order. Fire! 6 torpedoes lance through the black water at 48 knots. Running time approximately 1 minute.
On Indianapolis, men are sleeping, reading, writing letters, thinking about home. Quartermaster Third Class Robert McGuigan stands watch on the bridge. He's 23, from Massachusetts. He's thinking about his younger brother, who's flying B-24s over Germany. He doesn't see the wakes, doesn't see the phosphorescent trails racing toward the starboard side, doesn't see death approaching at 50 miles per hour. At 12:05 a.m., the first torpedo strikes forward just behind the bow. The second hits near the number 1 turret. The explosions are enormous. Orange flame erupts into the night. The forward third of the ship simply disintegrates. Men sleeping in the bow vanish in an instant. No time to scream, to pray, to know they're dying. The blast is so powerful it throws sailors out of their bunks 3 decks down. Bulkheads collapse, compartments flood. In seconds, the forward magazine is compromised. Some survivors will later say they saw the ship's bow rise up like a whale breaching. They're wrong. The bow is gone. In the engine rooms, the lights go out. Emergency lighting flickers on, casting everything in hellish red. Water pours through ruptured bulkheads. Men scramble for hatches, but many are already sealed by the blast. They claw at steel doors that won't open. They drown in the dark, screaming into water. Ensign Donald Blum is blown from his bunk and slammed into the bulkhead. When he regains consciousness, his compartment is flooding. He swims toward the hatch, feeling his way through complete darkness. His hand touches something soft. A body. He pushes past it, finds the hatch, climbs. Behind him, the water rises. Dr. Haynes is thrown from his bunk in sick bay. He lands hard, feels something tear in his back, then pushes through the pain. Medical supplies are scattered everywhere. He grabs morphine syringes, shoves them in his pockets, not knowing yet that he'll need thousands, and has only dozens. On the bridge, Captain McVay is thrown against the bulkhead. He staggers upright, calls for damage reports. The communications are dead. The lights are dead. He orders a runner to the engine room. Can we get power? The runner returns in minutes. The forward engine room is flooding. The bridge is cut off. Communications are gone. McVay realizes the ship is dying. He gives the order he never thought he'd give: abandon ship. But the order never reaches most of the crew. The PA system is destroyed. Runners can't get through the wreckage. Hundreds of men below decks don't know they're supposed to leave. They're waiting for orders that will never come. The ship lists heavily to starboard. Water pours in through the massive holes. Physics takes over now. Nothing can save her. 12 minutes from impact to sinking. 12 minutes to evacuate 1,196 men from a ship with no power, no communications, no time. It's impossible. Men pour onto the deck, many in their underwear or less. Some grab life jackets, some don't. Some jump immediately. Others wait
uncertain, trained never to abandon ship without orders. The deck tilts steeper. Men start sliding toward the water. Equipment breaks loose. 5-inch shells, ammunition cans, loose gear. Everything that isn't bolted down becomes a projectile. Private McCoy, the Marine from Missouri, grabs a life jacket and runs for the rail. He sees men jumping into darkness, hears screams. The ship groans like a dying animal, metal tearing, bulkheads collapsing. He jumps. The water is warm, almost bath-like, but the impact drives him deep. He kicks toward the surface, breaks through, gasps. Around him, the sea is full of heads. Men swimming, men drowning, men calling for help in the dark. Indianapolis is sliding under, her stern rising. Men still cling to the rails, afraid to jump, more afraid to stay. The ship makes a sound like nothing anyone has ever heard, a roar and a scream and a death rattle all at once. Her stern points almost straight up. Men lose their grip and fall, tumbling through space, hitting the water or hitting the wreckage or hitting other men. At 12:18 a.m., 13 minutes after the first torpedo, Indianapolis disappears beneath the Philippine Sea.
The suction pulls men under. They fight their way back to the surface, lungs burning. Then silence. The sudden, awful silence of 1,000 men floating in the middle of the ocean, with no ship, no rafts, no rescue, no hope. Just the stars and the water and the waiting. Captain McVay surfaces near a group of officers. He has no life jacket. Commander Stanley Lipsky, the gunnery officer, gives him his own. McVay protests. Lipsky insists. "You're the captain, sir. We need you." Lipsky will be dead in 3 days. The survivors cluster into groups, instinctively seeking safety in numbers. But there are no rafts. Indianapolis went down so fast that almost no emergency equipment was deployed. A few life nets float loose, a handful of floater nets, wooden squares covered in netting, meant to hold 50 men each. But there aren't enough, not nearly enough. Dr. Haynes finds himself with about 400 men in a large group. No rafts, no supplies, just men in life jackets, treading water, waiting for dawn. Some are injured, burns, broken bones, deep gashes from flying metal. Haynes has his morphine syrettes, but he can't see in the dark. He can't tell who needs it most. He saves it. The wounded scream. Some beg for help. Some just scream. As dawn breaks on July 30th, the survivors see each other for the first time. Faces blackened by fuel oil, eyes wide with shock, burns blistering in the salt water, blood trailing in the current. And fins. The sharks arrive with the sunrise. Oceanic whitetips, 8 feet long, some bigger. They're drawn by the vibrations of struggling men, by the blood in the water, by the smell of death. At first, they circle. The men watch them pass beneath them, dark shapes against darker water. Someone says, "They won't attack, too many of us." He's wrong. The sharks take the dead first. Bodies that went down with the ship are now floating up, buoyant by decomposition gases. The sharks tear into them.
The men watch, horrified, as their shipmates become food. Then the sharks discover the living are just as easy. The first attack comes mid-morning, a sailor on the edge of a group, kicking to stay afloat. A shape rises from below, fast, unbelievably fast. The man is there, then he's gone. Just a swirl of blood and a scream cut short. Panic spreads like fire. Men thrash, trying to swim away, but there's nowhere to go. The thrashing attracts more sharks. Dr. Haynes tries to keep his group calm. Stay still, don't kick, stay together. Some listen, some can't. Terror has its own logic. A sailor near Haynes is pulled under. He surfaces, screaming, "It's got my leg! It's got my leg!" Then he's gone again. When he surfaces the second time, he's silent. Eyes open. Dead. The sharks feed. Private McCoy watches a man 30 feet away jerk suddenly, then slide under. The water turns red. Bubbles rise. Then nothing. It happens again and again, all day long. The sharks prefer the weak, the injured, those who can't fight back. But sometimes they take the healthy too. There's no pattern, no safety, just randomness and teeth. By noon, the sun is brutal. The life jackets reflect heat. Men's skin blisters and cracks. They splash water on their faces for relief, but seawater in the wounds is agony. Thirst becomes torture. They're surrounded by water, but can't drink. Some try. They know better, but desperation overrides reason. Seawater accelerates dehydration, damages kidneys, drives you mad. And madness comes quickly. By the second day, men start drinking. First, just a sip, then more. They say the water tastes sweet. They say they're fine. They say they've found fresh water. They're hallucinating. Dr. Haynes watches men he known for months deteriorate before his eyes. Sailors who were joking the day before are now muttering about hotels below the surface, ice cream parlors, freshwater fountains. They take off their life jackets and swim down to find them. They don't come back. One man becomes convinced the ship didn't sink. He says it's right below them, just 30 feet down, fully intact. He's going to get supplies. He dives. He drowns. Another sailor attacks his best friend, accusing him of hoarding water. They fight in the water, exhausted, dying, using their last strength to hurt each other. Both slip under. The sharks take them. The sun rises on July 31, day 2. No rescue. The men are burning alive. Their lips crack and bleed. Their tongues swell. Some lose vision. Others lose consciousness and slip from their life jackets. The groups splinter. Men drift apart during the night. By daylight, there are dozens of clusters scattered across square miles of ocean. Some groups have 50 men. Some have 5. Some men drift alone. Those who die are kept close at first. The living don't want to let go. These are their friends, their brothers. But eventually, the bodies have to be released. They're attracting sharks. They're spreading infection. They have to go. Funeral services in shark-infested water. Prayers whispered through cracked lips.
then the long slide into the deep. McCoy's group finds a raft, an actual raft, floating empty. It's a miracle. They pull themselves aboard, maybe 15 men, packed tight. For the first time since the ship sank, they're out of the water. But the sharks circle the raft. They bump it from below. They're learning. On the raft, men watch those still in the water get taken. They reach out to pull others aboard, but there's no room. They have to choose who lives. How do you choose? Ensign Harlan Twible takes command of a small group, maybe 40 men. He's 24 years old, promoted to ensign just months ago. Now he's responsible for keeping men alive with no food, no water, no shelter. He organizes them into a circle, legs toward the center, arms linked. We stay together. Nobody drifts. Nobody lets go. They hold that formation for 3 days. Some of them make it. Captain McVay floats with a small group of officers. He blames himself. He commanded the ship. She sank. Under naval law, he's responsible. Commander Joe Flynn, the ship's navigator, tries to reassure him. "Nothing you could have done, Captain. We took 2 fish in the vitals. Any ship would have gone down." McVay doesn't respond. He stares at the horizon, looking for smoke, for planes, for anything. Nothing comes. What McVay doesn't know, what none of them know, is that Indianapolis never sent a distress call. The radio room was destroyed in the first seconds. No SOS, no Mayday, no position report. The ship just vanished. And in Leyte Gulf, no one noticed. Indianapolis wasn't expected until July 31. When she didn't arrive, the port director assumed she'd been delayed. Delays happen. Schedules slip. No one reported her missing. No one came looking. On August 1, the sun rises on the 3rd day. Men are dying faster now. Exposure, dehydration, exhaustion, sharks. Dr. Haynes moves through his group, checking pulses. He's a doctor with no medicine. He can't stop the dying. He can only bear witness. A sailor named Garland Rich asks Haynes how much longer. Haynes lies. "Soon. Rescue's coming soon." Rich nods, says okay, closes his eyes, stops breathing. Haynes keeps moving. The hallucinations worsen. Men see islands, ships, airplanes. They wave at rescue that isn't there. They swim toward salvation that doesn't exist. A group of men become convinced there's a freshwater spring on the ocean floor. They dive repeatedly, coming up gasping, swearing they almost reached it. One by one, they don't come back up. Another sailor swears the Japanese have sent a submarine to save them. He's waiting for it. He's sure it's coming. He dies waiting, smile on his face. The sharks feed constantly now. The weakest are taken, those who drift from the groups, those who sleep, those who can no longer fight. Private McCoy watches a shark surface 10 feet away, a human arm in its mouth. He recognizes the tattoo. It was his friend. On August 2, the 4th day, only the strongest remain conscious. Maybe half the survivors are still coherent. The others are barely alive, delirious, burned beyond recognition, dying in slow motion. Ensign Twible's group has shrunk to 12 men. They've maintained discipline, stayed together, conserved strength. But even discipline has limits. They're dying. Then, at 10:25 a.m., a miracle. Lieutenant Wilbur Chuck Gwynn is piloting a Lockheed Ventura bomber on routine anti-submarine patrol. He's not looking for survivors. He's not even thinking about Indianapolis because he doesn't know she's missing. His bomb bay door hydraulics malfunction and he drops altitude to inspect. While he's low, his co-pilot spots something odd on the water. An oil slick, debris, and maybe, are those heads? Gwynn drops lower. He sees men, dozens of men, hundreds of men, in the water, arms waving. He doesn't know what ship they're from or how they got there, but he knows they need help. He radios immediately. Survivors in water. Position 11 degrees 54 minutes north, 133 degrees 47 minutes east. Many survivors need immediate assistance. Then he drops his life raft and emergency supplies. The men in the water see the plane, and for a moment they don't believe it. It's another hallucination, another cruel trick. But the plane circles, drops supplies, doesn't vanish. It's real. The screaming starts, not from pain this time, from joy, from hope. Men weep. They clutch each other. They're saved. But they're not saved yet. Help has been called, but Leyte is 250 miles away. Rescue ships will take hours to arrive. More men will die before then. Gwynn circles for hours, marking positions, dropping supplies. He radios for more aircraft. Within an hour, another plane arrives, then another. They drop rafts, food, water, medical supplies. But the survivors are scattered over miles, weak, injured, dying. Some can't reach the supplies. Some are too far gone.
At 11:30 a.m., a PBY Catalina seaplane, piloted by Lieutenant Adrian Marks, arrives on scene. His orders are clear: reconnaissance only, do not land. Marks sees men dying in the water, sees sharks circling, makes a decision. He lands. PBY Catalinas aren't designed to land in open ocean. The swells are too high. But Marks brings it down anyway, bouncing hard on the waves. The fuselage cracks. The plane will never fly again. Marks doesn't care. He starts pulling men from the water. His crew hauls them aboard, packs them into every available space. The plane is designed to hold 15. They load 56. Men hang on the wings, cling to the fuselage, anything to get out of the water. The USS Doyle, a destroyer escort, arrives at 10:30 p.m. She's the first ship on scene. Her crew works through the night with searchlights, pulling men from the water. Some are coherent, some are nearly dead. All are transformed by 4 days in hell. The USS Bassett arrives next, then USS Register. More ships throughout the night. They crisscross the search area, calling out, shining lights, listening for voices. By August 3rd, the rescue is complete. Of the 1,196 men who sailed from Guam, only 316 survive. 880 dead. Some went down with the ship. More died in the water. Exposure, dehydration, madness, sharks. The exact numbers will never be known, but the survivors all say the same thing. The sharks were the worst part. Worse than the thirst, worse than the sun, worse than watching friends lose their minds. The sharks turned the ocean into an abattoir. The survivors are taken to base hospitals in Guam and Peleliu. They're emaciated, burned, traumatized. Some weigh 50 pounds less than they did 4 days earlier.
Their skin is blackened by fuel oil and sun. Their eyes are hollow. Dr. Haynes treats them, though he's barely functional himself. He's lost 30 pounds. His back is injured from the initial blast. He works anyway. He's a doctor. It's what he does. Private McCoy is hospitalized for weeks. He has nightmares about the water, about the sharks, about the faces of men who didn't make it. He'll have those nightmares for the rest of his life. On August 6th, as survivors are still being treated, the Enola Gay drops Little Boy on Hiroshima. The uranium Indianapolis delivered vaporizes 80,000 people in an instant. The war ends 9 days later. But for the crew of Indianapolis, the war isn't over. It's just beginning. The Navy convenes a court of inquiry immediately. They need someone to blame. The loss of a heavy cruiser with 880 dead is too big to ignore. Someone must be held accountable. Captain Charles McVay is charged with hazarding his ship by failing to zigzag and failing to order abandon ship in a timely manner. The second charge is dropped before trial. The first proceeds. It's unprecedented, unheard of. An enemy officer testifying against an American captain in an American courtroom with the war barely over. Hashimoto testifies clearly. Zigzagging would have made no difference. The visibility was good. The moon was bright. He would have hit Indianapolis regardless. It doesn't matter. The Navy needs a scapegoat. McVay is convicted. His sentence is loss of 100 numbers in precedence, a formal reprimand. His career is over. The survivors are outraged. They know McVay wasn't to blame. They petition. They write letters. They testify on his behalf. It makes no difference. The verdict stands. Captain McVay goes home to Connecticut. He tries to resume his life, but the guilt consumes him. He receives hate mail from families of the dead, blaming him, accusing him, cursing him. He answers every letter personally. He carries a survivors list in his pocket, all 316 names. He studies it daily, memorizing the faces of men who lived while 880 died under his command. On November 6, 1968, at age 70, Charles McVay walks into his backyard, puts a .38 revolver to his head, and pulls the trigger. He's wearing his Navy uniform. He's still holding the survivors list. The survivors fight for decades to clear his name. They know the truth. McVay wasn't to blame. The Navy failed to warn him about submarine activity, failed to report Indianapolis missing, failed to search for survivors. The blame belongs to the system, not the captain.
In 1996, Hunter Scott, a sixth-grade student in Florida, chooses Indianapolis for a history project. He interviews survivors, researches records, discovers the injustice. At age 12, he begins a campaign to exonerate Captain McVay. He writes congressmen, appears on national television, testifies before Congress at age 14. In 2000, Congress passes a resolution exonerating McVay. It states clearly, his actions did not contribute to the loss of Indianapolis. The conviction was unjust. President Clinton signs it into law, 55 years too late. Today, Indianapolis lies 18,000 feet below the Philippine Sea. She was discovered in 2017 by a research team led by Paul Allen. Her hull is intact. Her guns still point upward. She's a war grave, protected by international law. 880 men are still aboard. The survivors, those who remained, carry the memory. They meet annually, fewer each year,
until there are none left. They tell their stories to anyone who will listen. They remember the men who didn't come home. They remember the water, the sun, the thirst, and the sharks. Giles McCoy died in 2005. He spoke at schools for decades, ensuring children knew the cost of war. He never swam in the ocean again. Dr. Lewis Haynes died in 1998. He treated his shipmates for 4 days with no supplies, watching helplessly as they died. He became a physician in rural Texas, treating anyone who needed help, never turning anyone away. Felton Outland survived. He married Catherine, the girl from his letters. They had 5 children. He spoke rarely about Indianapolis, but when he did, he wept. As of 2024, only one survivor remains, Harold Bray, living quietly with his family. He was 17 when Indianapolis sank. He's 100 now. When he dies, the living memory dies with him. But the story remains. The names remain. The sacrifice remains. 1,196 men sailed from Guam in July 1945. 316 came home. They delivered the weapon that ended the war. They paid in blood and terror and 4 days in hell. Their ship is gone, sunk in darkness 18,000 feet down. But their legacy floats on the surface still. It floats in every survivor's testimony, every history book, every documentary, every schoolchild who learns the name USS Indianapolis and remembers the cost of victory. Remember them. Remember Captain Charles Butler McVay III, who carried the weight of 880 dead until he couldn't carry it anymore. Remember Dr. Lewis Haynes, who became a doctor to heal, and instead watched helplessly as men died in his arms. Remember Giles McCoy, who survived hell and spent the rest of his life ensuring no one forgot. Remember the 880 who never came home, who died in fire or water or teeth, who vanished beneath the Pacific and stayed there, forever young, forever silent. The sharks came at night, but dawn came too, and in that dawn we remember. If this story moved you, if it made you remember the names time tried to erase, subscribe and help us keep their legacy alive.